The rise of People Power 3, Marcos versus Duterte. Political turmoil in the Philippines. Are we witnessing the birth of People Power 3? The Philippines is once again in political chaos, this time between President Bongbong Marcos and former President Rodrigo Duterte. With the arrest of Duterte's allies, the impeachment of Vice President Sara Duterte, the return of crime and drugs, and Marcos allegedly pushing for Duterte's extradition to the ICC in The Hague, the country is at a boiling point. Could this trigger another massive uprising? Let's break down the key issues fueling public unrest. People Power 1 and 2, a history of uprising. Filipinos have overthrown leaders before when abuse of power and corruption became unbearable. 1986, People Power 1, the dictatorship of Ferdinand Marcos Sr., ended due to election fraud, corruption, and human rights violations. 2001, People Power 2. President Joseph Estrada was removed after being exposed for plunder and bribery. Both revolts were triggered by government mismanagement and public outrage, issues that are now re-emerging under Marcos Jr. Marcos versus Duterte. The political power struggle. The once strong Marcos-Duterte alliance is now in ruins. Marcos's administration is actively working to eliminate Duterte's influence before the 2028 elections. Pushing Duterte's arrest and ICC extradition, reports suggest Marcos is working behind the scenes with the International Criminal Court, ICC, to send Duterte to The Hague, Netherlands, for his war on drugs. Allegedly, Duterte was already pressured to board a plane, but his supporters blocked the move. Crackdown on Duterte's allies. Duterte's key supporters are facing legal persecution. Pastor Apollo Quiboloy, a major Duterte ally now facing arrest. Pro-Duterte bloggers. Online influencers are being silenced and threatened for speaking against Marcos. Impeachment of Vice President Sara Duterte. Marcos's allies are pushing to remove VP Duterte over confidential fund allegations, despite similar funds being approved for other officials. Marcos is desperately trying to wipe out Duterte's power base, using political purges and international legal tactics. The Marcos administration's corruption and mismanagement. While attacking Duterte, Marcos's government is riddled with corruption and scandals. 1. Blank bicameral budget. Marcos's administration passed a national budget with missing details, giving him control over billions with no transparency. 2. PhilHealth fund misuse. Reports suggest Marcos's government is eyeing PhilHealth funds, putting millions of Filipinos at risk of losing healthcare benefits. 3. Gold reserve issue. Allegations are surfacing that Marcos is quietly using the country's gold reserves for undisclosed purposes. 4. House Speaker's corruption. Speaker Martin Romualdez, a Marcos ally, is accused of misusing public funds and manipulating Congress. 5. Inflation and economic struggles. Prices of basic goods are skyrocketing, but the government has no clear plan to address inflation. 6. No major infrastructure projects. Unlike Duterte's Build, Build, Build program, Marcos has not launched any major developments. Instead of focusing on the economy, Marcos is prioritizing political revenge. The return of drugs and criminality. Under Marcos, one of Duterte's greatest achievements was his aggressive war on drugs, leading to a drastic decline in crime rates. Safer streets, drug syndicates going underground. However, under Bongbong Marcos, crime and drugs have made a strong comeback. Increased drug trafficking, reports of police corruption and leniency, crime rates rising with robbery, theft, and gang activities escalating. With anti-drug operations relaxed, criminals are becoming bolder, leaving Filipinos questioning whether Marcos is undoing Duterte's hard-earned gains. Will there be People Power 3? Ignite another People Power revolution? Possible triggers include Duterte's extradition and arrest. If Marcos hands Duterte over to the ICC, it could trigger mass protests across the country. Economic hardships. Inflation and unemployment are pushing Filipinos to the edge. Political persecution. The removal of VP Sara Duterte could lead to massive unrest. Increase in crime and drugs. With public safety declining, frustration is growing. The Philippines has overthrown leaders before when they betrayed the people. If Marcos continues down this path, People Power 3 might not be far away. Are we witnessing the early signs of another revolution? Will Filipinos once again rise against corruption, crime, and political suppression? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more updates on Philippine politics.